So, BoonBoomger episode 13, we're finally in the teens now for this show, and this episode was quite the interesting one, a lot of fun. It was more of a slapstick episode with everything going on, but it is setting up brand new mechas, brand new mecha formations that we'll be seeing in the nearby future. So, this episode, we saw the debut of BoonBoom Marine and BoonBoom Safari. Now, BoonBoom Marine sort of made the cameo. BoonBoom Safari was the one that had the time to shine in this week's episode, as we saw the combination with BoonBoom Safari, which is a really cool combination within itself because it's got the Wolverine claws coming out of it. Looked really freaking cool. So, not only that, we're also going to see it form together with BoonBoom Marine, and we're going to get the formation of BoonBoom Robo Monster, which is a really cool formation. If you saw it in the episode preview, I really do like it, with the marine head and the Wolverine claws coming out of it. But the bad guys also finally have their own mech now, called a BoonBoom Killer Robo. Now, it's just basically a repaint of BoonBoom Robo, or Bundario is mech's form with a bit of a spray paint added to it, but no doubt about it, it's going to sell toys. But the bad guys have their own changer now, and their own changer looks really freaking cool, so I can see that getting a toy release later down the line as well, with how we saw a nice big close-up of it. Will they do it? They probably will, no doubt about it, because it had its own sounds, but I do wonder, with the bad guys having their own changers, and although that changer was used to control the evil robo they had in this week's episode, will we see evil BoonBoomgers showing up later down the line with those changes? Because if those changes aren't destroyed, and Cannonball can just create stuff like that, and he's cooking up stuff, will we see evil BoonBoom Rangers later down the line? That is the question. That is the question on my mind. Will we see evil Rangers in the show? That's something we'll have to wait and see. But the whole premise of this episode is that the bad guys have BoonBoom Killer Robo, and BoonBoom Killer Robo has this big boombox attached to it, and it plays a song, this exercise song, I guess. It gave me Gantz vibes. So, you know, if you've seen Gantz before, which Gantz is a series that, if you're familiar with my channel, it's an anime and manga series that I'm probably going to bring up a lot on this channel. If you know my sort of like my nostalgia with that series and my attachment with that series, but it reminded me of that exercise song, but it was sort of like a custom exercise song, but with BoonBoomger. But what that song does is that if you're cranked up like the BoonBoomgers, it'll crank you down, so they lose all their motivation to sort of fight the bad guys, so that leaves them open to get attacked and probably killed off. But I feel like episodes like that happen every so often in Super Sentai, like they're bound to happen. They lose their motivation, they don't have the will to fight anymore, they get super lazy. Power Rangers has done it itself, like where the bad guys put a spell or some kind of voodoo magic or get hit by some kind of attack beam that sort of makes them not be motivated to be Rangers anymore. They probably got it from the Sentai material as well, but I feel like as Sentai, we've seen that quite a fair bit when it comes to more recent seasons, because I feel like I can go back and watch maybe a Tokuger episode or a Kyoryuger episode or a Go Busters episode from 10 plus years ago, and they'd have that sort of premise where the Rangers lose their motivation to fight. It's sort of like an easy sort of storyline to do, but we see their own take on it with how they do it within like this Sentai series with their mythos and lore that they attach to it. But everyone loses their motivation, they don't want to keep going on. But Gemba, he sneaks away and he starts hanging out with the Hashirins and says, hey, I want to work with you guys now because I can get paid when you guys take over the world because money's all I need. And it looks like that he's turning heel and he's joining the bad guys. So it looks like that he's going to be evil with them from now on. That's his big master plan. But actually, his big master plan was them to sort of, he was going to suck up to them, kiss their asses, and then he's like, hey, I should make you guys the new BoonBoomger, so he gives them the BoonBoomger masks, and the Team Rocket trio do their own roll call pretending they're the Boonboomgers, which was really funny. I really enjoyed the slapstick that the Team Rocket trio do with the Harshan aliens. Like, whenever they're on screen, I love seeing them on screen. It's never a dull moment when those three are on screen, because the voice actors have a lot of chemistry with them. Even if it's like the suit actors moving around and the voice is done over them, like the performance that those actors give is a lot of fun. But because the Team Rocket trio pretend to be the Boonboomgers, they are soon tricked by Gemba, who makes the BoonBoom Killer Robo make them lose motivation. And his whole plan was, well, if you guys are cranked up, I'm going to crank you down, and my friends who are cranked down, I'm going to crank them back up. That's my whole goal. And that was really cool. Now, Gemba, as the Orange Ranger, I'm still not feeling. He's a cool character, but I feel like I have to have that one episode that's going to sell me on him. And I feel like he hasn't had that episode yet. This was a cool episode to make him shine, but I feel like he's missing that backstory for me to get that full attachment to him. Because Joe I like, Mitra I like, Mirror I like, Taya's pretty cool, but I feel like Gemba, we still know little to nothing about him apart from he sort of worked under Taya for the longest time. But also, one big plot point with this episode is probably going to be the plot point moving forward to next week's episode, is that because they met Speedor from Go-Onja last week, it made Taya want to create these brand new Boon Boon mechs. But these two new mechs that he created, Safari and Marine, he put AI intelligence into them, which, kind of scary. AI's taken over. Don't do it, Taya. Don't do it. You'll regret it.